First up, John. John, good morning. Is this to do with all of the inmates up in Portlaoise Prison who have OD'd on a drug thought to be synthetic cannabis spice, is it?
Yeah, and my comment on that is they put themselves in this situation, right? First of all, they put themselves in jail. They went outside of the law, unlike the rest of us, so they're trying to keep within the law. Now they got some drugs brought into them, and there was a problem with it, and a lot of them got seriously ill. Well, boo-hoo. I tell you what, keep my sympathy and empathy for now. There's a person out in the COH this morning that's starting their chemotherapy or their radium, like some friends of mine, right? A friend of mine that died 3 months ago that had no one in the world, and I sat by his bedside and watched him take his last breath. That poor devil was in nappies at 67, 68 years of age, morning, noon and night, right? That's from my sympathy, right? Not a bunch of assholes that put themselves into jail in the first place.
Three of them are in intensive care now. They're critical.
I don't care if they've died. And I think people should call out what it is. I have no sympathy whatsoever with those scumbags. They not only cause havoc in society.
How do you know that they're a scumbag? How do you know that they're in there for reasons that didn't involve hurting anybody? It could have been anything, or it could be anything they're in there for. But they could have gone in as drug addicts. They could have serious addiction issues. They could have had trauma in childhood that led to addiction issues.
I mean, look, we're sick and tired of this. Yeah, we all had some form of trauma. I mean, I had a head scare recently there. I had to get €3,000 to get tested, and I paid for myself. I didn't go and break down the door of an old age pension and get to $3,000 that way.
I know you didn't. No, but you're just kind of... You're labeling everybody on as being the same, you know? There are different people in all walks of life who end up in prison.
Well, if you're inside in prison, you must have broke the law. If you broke the law for just not paying your TV license, well, that's a bit ridiculous. But I mean, a lot of these are serious criminals. In fact, one of them is supposed to be some form of them gangland leaders.
Well, you're right. Portlaoise is a fairly serious prison. I get that.
So, like, I mean, and you must ask yourself this question as well as against the drugs. How are they getting in there? Because I was told by a prison officer one time that they turned a blind eye because as long as they're stoned over their head, they'd be easier to handle, right? But I mean,
sometimes this gets in when a prisoner is out on compassionate leave, they bring it back in. I was reading the Irish Times, just for the record, that they're saying there are simply too many ways to smuggle drugs into prison. Contraband is brought in by visitors in packages, supply deliveries. Sometimes it's brought in by vans bringing in, supplies. Other times it's corrupt prison guards. Sometimes they're simply thrown over the walls. And even they're even using drones now to drop the contraband into the...
There's an easy way to sort out the drones, the technology and stuff. They have nothing to stop the stuff being thrown in, falling into the yard and so on. But if you watch the programs, the Australian programs there, as regards the immigration there, Border Patrol, Australia, the size of that country and the amount of thousands of people that that go through those airports, and you see the security, not a Nant would get in there. Okay. And yes, a couple of people a day going and visit, and they can't sort it out.
They get it in. There's lots of it. So are you suggesting that anybody that's sick or critical or ill in a prison should get any treatment at all?
Well, obviously they get sick, they will be taken, that's a given, but I have no sympathy for them. Not only do they cause havoc within the system to put themselves in there in the first place, now they cause havoc inside the hospitals, which are already overburdened, and the staff under tremendous pressure, and people on waiting list, ringing up your program. My grandmother was in a chair for 3 days at 79 years of age. I have no pity for those people. They can go away and second diet as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so let them die rather than taking up the much-needed intensive care beds in our hospitals.
Yeah, plaguing a lot of them.
Okay, let's see what people think of that. Text 0868 104 106. Pick up the phone on 0818 104 106. And as an example then, if you like, with regards to our health system, thank you so much to the texter who got in touch with me, who didn't wish to be named because she has other people involved in the conversation that she wants to keep private. I attended a clinic with my friend last week in the new building belonging to the CUH in Ballincollig. Her appointment was 1:45, so we arrived at 1:20 with only 2 people ahead of her. We expected to be in and out of this clinic fairly early, as we were there on time, very few people. However, we noticed nurses just walking around, with one continuously on the phone. After a while, however, the waiting room started to fill up, and no one was being called. Slowly but surely, it filled up. We thought maybe the consultant had an emergency. After 2+ hours, The nurse, who was on the phone constantly, approached us and apologised for the delay. She said the consultant was on holidays and they were trying for hours to get someone from CUH to see the patients in the clinic. Several people cancelled their appointments as they were fed up with the waiting. One man had travelled from Tullamore. Eventually a doctor did come, but had to read the files before seeing the patients. Then we were told he wasn't even part of the proper team. After my friend saw him, he told her, go back to your GP and rebook another appointment for a month's time. We got out of there at 4:30, nothing short of a total joke, except it wasn't funny. The consultant had to have booked the holidays weeks beforehand. There wasn't even a water dispenser, nor a cup of tea. People had to go to the garage for bottled water down the road. One lady who had a tank of oxygen with her had to leave because she was running out of oxygen. The Irish health system is nothing short of a disgrace. A total and utter joke. Thank you for that text. Text 0868 104 106. Pick up the phone on 0818 104 106. Calls on the way. We're going on a trip.